All right, we're going to do a two-part workshop lecture series here, and on two of the most important, what I'd call essential tools to add to your bucket of tools, okay? And these two elements, I want to go over here, and we're going to relate them why you would want to do these, okay? But it's not just the fulvic acid that we have, and we're going to talk about fulvic acid. And not all fulvic acids are the same, so don't just think fulvic acid's fulvic acid. And also Lugol's iodine solution, which is a 2% iodine solution, okay, with also potassium iodide in it. So these two components right here change people's lives. And without these two components, realistically, they also change people's lives, but not for the better. So I did bring my little book here because there's lots of good information. I want to make sure I don't pass up some. Fulvic acid, okay, remember, does anybody even know where fulvic acid comes from? Where would you think? It comes from a deposit in the ground, and these deposits are humic shale, and humic shale is decompressed trees, forests. And there's many, many of these decomposed shale deposits. And then what we do is we simply go ahead and extract the fulvic acid out of the shale. And the fulvic acid is one of the most special things once you learn about it, because plants without fulvic acid can't really break down the minerals in the soil, so they can't actually feed unless there's the fulvic acid in the soil. So this is why killing the bacteria, okay, in your stomach, killing the bacteria by putting ammoniated fertilizers, Roundup, or anything on the floor, what you're doing is you're killing the biodome, okay, this biological microbe that actually decomposes things. And one of the main ingredients that the microbes make is fulvic acid. So fulvic acid, what and how it was made, think of you had a huge forest, and this huge forest got filled with dirt, okay? And over tens of thousands, millions of years, this dirt decomposed down, okay? Let's say, for instance, you had 20 pounds of waste material, trees and shrubs and so forth, and then you composted it, and it went down to 5 pounds, okay? This is exactly what the fulvic acid is. The fulvic acid is only produced because of the microbes decompose all that matter. And now you've got yourself the miracle acid, fulvic acid. Most people think Fulvic or Fulvic. Fulvic acid, remember, is when you take when you're pregnancy and so forth. This is Fulvic, F-U-L-V-I-C. Now, once we get into this, the reason being why iodine is so important, okay, just to go through iodine first, then we'll get to fulvic acid. Okay, remember, the primary reason why you would want to use fulvic acid is because it's a nanoparticle. It is super powerful, and it's electron donor, meaning that one molecule of fulvic acid has 14, okay, to the teratrillion electrons per molecule. That's a huge, huge amount of energy that this little tiny particle can go ahead and donate. So why is that important? It's because what it does is it dissolves free radical systems. Okay, so it's a very good not only detoxifier, but it also is so small, the particles, that it travels across the blood-brain barrier and it starts to touch every cell inside your body, helping to dissolve out some of the accumulated calcium oxalates, some of the accumulated pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, mercury, cadmium, aluminum, heavy metals, okay, plastic. Fulvic I've used since 1993. I've used it probably with 2,500 different patients, and we've had fantastic results, but the whole way is you got to learn how to use it. And remember, you're your own experiment, and there's lots of different ways. In part 2, we'll go ahead and actually show you how to be able to do lots of therapeutic procedures on your own. Let's say if you had a prostate problem and you were a man, and you know that that's full of calcium oxalates and full of different types of accumulations. Now, since you know that fulvic is one of the grand dissolvers, as long as it's in a low pH, what it does is it helps dissolve some of the held bonds, okay, of different types of calcifications. So this helps, and we'll show you how to use this. If you're going to use it on your prostate, there is a protocol on how to be able to make this work. If you're going to use this for removing wrinkles, there is a protocol to be able to use this, because remember what it does is it dissolves. The wrinkles are scleroderma. Scleroderma is hardening of the tissue, and hardening of the tissue means that's like, you know, how do you get the wax off your floor? Okay, this is to help dissolve some of the different coatings that are on the outside of the body. And also, there's different protocols that we can take this and put it internally. Okay, so you can help this go through all different ways. You can use this with enemas, and you should see the parasites that come out with this. We've done lots of different experimentations. I would say fulvic acid is probably once the body's in a semi-clean state and you're a little bit more used to doing enemas, the fulvic acid we found has massive washing out of the parasites. For some reason, the fulvic goes in and ruins their little mucus house, and you flush massively, okay, with this. So there's all different types of protocols, and we'll go over those. Let's say one more, because a lot of women are scared about the lumps underneath their breasts. Men too, okay, but there's a lot of tissue in there that's hard. So how do you get it softer? Okay, there's certain protocols that you can do to put the fulvic in there. You can use fulvic, we'll go ahead and talk about, and mix it with other things to be able to actually get it so it actually drives into the topical tissue. So let's say you had some type of an infection, okay, or you had a cut. Fulvic works beautiful to go ahead and shut the cuts down, okay, and stop it from bleeding and infection. Toe fungus, okay. Loss of hair, okay, you just have to learn how to use this. So this is a magical product, okay. Yes, we sell it. Buy it wherever you want to, okay. This is specially made. It's not a dilution. It's a concentrate. It's 2.2 pH. This is specially made for us. We add boron to it and zinc. Why? It's because everybody's deficient in these, and we found out that that's one of the things we want to put back into the body is boron, okay. We also screen out a lot of the iron, because a lot of the agricultural fulvic is not what you want to take, but you can go ahead and buy the cheaper agricultural fulvic for your plants. You can also use this on your pets, okay? This magically changes the way your body makes electricity, as you're going to see. We'll talk about it. Okay, so number one, let's just go through. I want to talk about iodine real quick here. Okay, so why would we use iodine? Is that everybody got iodine when you came here? Okay. Now, the reason why you're going to use iodine, okay, number one, is because almost everybody's deficient in it. And also is because iodine, remember, is one of the best detoxifying agents in the system, is because what it does is it fills the receptor sites in your body. It fills them with iodine. And if you're lacking iodine in your system, your receptor sites now are open to other things that get into your body that will fill that receptor site and clog it. And some of the things are fluoride. So what does this do if you get ample amounts in your system? It pushes it out of the system. Okay? Everybody's got fluoride in their body, massive amounts. I notice this when I go to the mainland. Just 2 weeks of being there, the fluoride is like the worst thing that I feel that happens to me right off the bat in the morning. So I take a shower, in cold water because I don't want to breathe the steam. But also, chlorine is also a halogen. Okay, halogens are, and this is the largest halogen of the body. Okay, these are essential elements. Okay, for not only for your body to detoxify, but for to make sure that nothing else gets into the receptor site because it's empty. Okay, so one other idea about this, because I want you to understand this also. Silica. I didn't bring it with me. Silica. If you're deficient in silica, and almost everybody is, okay, then if you find out what is the brain is silicone, silicon, not silicone, okay? It's silicon. Your skin is made out of silicon, okay? All the elastic tissues and everything, but your brain is massively amounts of silicon. So if you're lacking silicon in your system, aluminum moves right in because it's got the same receptor site as silicon. You can see Alzheimer's is massive right now. It's because why? Because everybody's got a silicon deficiency, so aluminum goes into the brain. goodbye. Okay? You have a iodine deficiency, okay, or boron deficiency, that's why we had the boron, then your bones now become brittle. Why? It's because fluoride is now getting into the bone. Why? Because it fits in. Bromine, you know what that is? That's a preservative that's in almost all baked goods. Okay? It also fits into this receptor site if you don't have iodine. So this is very, very, very important. Anybody with any types of body fat, any dysfunction, remember this is a master gland. It not only detoxifies the liver, the kidneys. Okay, remember in the old days you put this on a cut, you went to the hospital, they used iodine. Remember now 5% iodine is a pharmaceutical, it's a prescription. So if you want to use the 5%, you just use twice as much pretty much. Okay, because this is 2%. So iodine goes into your system. And then not only does it disinfect into the cells and go into the other receptor sites and make certain types of things so you can be disinfected, but it also is the premier fuel for the thyroid. And the thyroid has a lot to do with you being tired, not being happy, okay, not being able to feel comfortable, nervous, obese, okay, a lot of problems. The thyroid, if it doesn't function correctly, it's only because most likely it's accumulated toxicity, number one. And of course, what are we going to show you? You can use this around the thyroid. Yes, you can, okay? Because this is dissolved. But if you accumulate toxicity, remember, part of the problem is getting in the new stuff, but you have to help get out the old stuff. Okay, this makes sense. Remember, you guys are now way more advanced. Okay, now it's because making sense when your brain is actually clear right now makes a lot more sense. So, let me just go through here. Okay, it also said, just so you know, there's a lot of type 2 diabetes around in this country. You know, it is said through the research, I'm not saying this, because I don't know, I didn't do the research, but it said you can't get type 2 diabetes too unless you're iodine deficient. Okay? So, iodine, is it important? And how are you going to use it now? You're going to use this consistently. I would use it every morning on your wrist, 2 or 3 drops, remember, on here? I'll do it for you right now. I do this every day. I put 2 or 3 drops just like this, and I just give it a first rub so it doesn't fall on the floor. And then, magnesium, brand new one, and I just put a little squirt of magnesium around here like this. This helps drive it in. And you'll notice I have the orange here, but in 2 hours, this orange will be gone and where did it go? You have to watch not getting it on white things or any other clothes because this will stain. But this goes into my body and primarily is going to find itself here. It's going to go to my thyroid. So you could put it here, but you're going to have yellow spots on your neck. You can also use iodine, remember, as also a topical for wrinkles on the face. Okay? You can use iodine for, remember, cuts. You can use it for areas that you want to disinfect, toe fungus. Okay, all these different things. Remember, these are household, not only for a couple of things that you could put this on a Band-Aid also. Okay, but this also has physiological effects if you don't have it in your body. Okay, so you could use it outside the body for as a disinfectant, but then again you can use this and also to do therapy with wrinkles and so forth, tumors, and you can also use different types of things like DMSO to be able to even shove this in topically right in one spot because DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, is a driver. You have to be very careful, and that's another part of the protocols on learning to use DMSO. Okay? Why? Is because DMSO, whatever you touch with it, will drive it into your body. So if you've got chemicals on your hand and you touch DMSO and you rub it on your body or you put lotions on and you can't eat them, it's going to drive it into the skin, through the skin. I can put my name Robert here on my arm in pen, and if I want to give myself a tattoo, I just put some DMSO, drives it right in. Whoa. Okay, we can also put some mercury right here too if we wanted to, and put it in a spray bottle and spray it on the DMSO will push anything within the body. They did that back in the 60s with LSD. They put it in a bottle like this, shake it up, and they go, here you go, boys, 1 drop will do you. Okay, with a little DMSO. Okay. So DMSO is very smart to use. You can use this, again, with the Fulvic to be able to push it deeply into the areas where your skin is hard. Okay, so let's say on Wendy. Wendy's got different things than you've got. Okay, for you, Nidra, we want to take off the sclera off your face, which you've got most of it off right now. Huge coating, okay? So the Fulvic for you is to be able to go ahead and soften scleroderma, which is a hardening of the skin, which will relax the tissues, because now when they move, they'll be able to be flexible because they're going to be brand new in 30 days. They keep on renewing themselves. For you, we'd use the Fulvic to be able, because remember, we grab your tissue, it hurts inside there, so we're going to soften that up. Okay, so this goes in and it helps dissolve. Remember, there's different therapies that you have to experiment with, but I can give you some guidelines on how I've done this. And also remember, we've done this with probably about 2,500 patients. So I've been playing around with this, experimenting a lot on a lot of different things, from even baldness. Okay, a lot of things. Ear problems, diluting it down, putting it into the ear to be able to dissolve a lot of the different calcifications. All of a sudden people get their hearing 90% back. Okay, remember, it's an experiment, but you always start with a dilution rate that's very low. Okay?
So ears would be, for example, 1 to 4, 1 to 3?
1 to 4.
1 to 4.
Yeah, and we'll go over these different protocols. Okay, so this one's for YouTube a little bit here, because I like to make sure we stimulate people, but I don't want to really show people how to do things unless it's part of our little private school here. It's because they are protocols, and they do change physiology, and I'm only showing you what I'm doing and what we've done with thousands of other people, and then it's up to you, if it makes sense to you, to experiment, because it's what it is. It's an experiment. Remember, everybody's different. Everyone's an individual. Everyone's got different bloodlines, accumulations, and everything else. But learning how to do these, you still need to have some just level guidance, just so you can say, okay, what do I do? Otherwise, here's a bottle of this. I give it to a lot of people, and it sits on their shelf. They never use either of them. Either of them. And I told them. But it doesn't make sense, because if you're not comfortable with actually seeing these or doing these, a lot of times, remember, you have to be a little researcher. You know, you research everything. Even when you go to the restaurant, you're researching what to eat when you woke this morning. Colored hair you want to have, whatever it's going to be. So, okay, so now this is very important for you to understand. If you are nutrient deficient, and almost everybody is, remember, there's 100 million obese people in the United States. There's 100 million diabetics. There's 50 million people taking SSRIs, antidepressants. If you are nutrient deficient, okay, then you are a toxic sponge for these types of fluorine. And fluoride is in your water supply. It's in your new car smell. It's in your toothpaste. Okay? You go to the dentist. Okay, and this is sodium fluoride. It's not calcium fluoride. You need to go ahead and do the research yourself and find out that there is a difference between calcium fluoride, which comes from the elemental earth, okay, and sodium fluoride is a toxic waste element of the aluminum block, okay, industry and petroleum industries. If you look it up, it's one of the second, third most toxic ions other than mercury. And why would that go in our water supply? And when you see the research, there's all the cities and everybody's fighting to take it out of our water supply, because fluorosis is worse in the places, okay, and dental caries is worse, and brittle bones and osteoporosis and everybody's stiff is worse in the places that they did the fluoridation. Again, watch the documentaries. And then you make your own decision. And if you have fluoride at your house, what do you need? You need a steam distiller, number one, so you can get everything out, because RO, remember, unless you have a fluoride filter, you're wasting your time. RO filters particles. It does not filter acids, and it does not filter liquids like gases. Fluoride is when you look at it, you'll see it's a liquid. Okay, so the filters don't catch it. So you have to have a special filter that's specially made to remove fluoride. So the steam distiller, that's all you're getting is pure H2O. So at least your drinking water's that. But if you're taking showers, even if you put a shower dechlorant in it, still got tons of fluoride. And if you can't afford to do a whole house water system or something, okay, then what you do is better take showers not too hot of water, because the steam that comes up is atomized, and you're breathing it in. It's like injecting fluoride into your system. And there's heavily fluoridated waters all in the mainland. And they've been doing this for 70 years, just so you know. But if you look at the research and you see all the different places in Europe and different places that don't have this, you'll find out and say any place that's been fluoridated has more problems than the ones that doesn't. And again, once you look up the toxicity of sodium fluoride, and where does it go specifically? It goes into your bone. If you don't have the iodine, connecting the dots back again, it goes, fluoride goes where also? Into your pineal gland, which is this master gland between all your brains and your supercomputer in your brain. Okay, this is like the gland that sort of connects into everything else. And if this thing's calcified, then that's not good. Okay, so again, the Fulvic, this is some of the therapies that I use to be able to dissolve the pineal gland's calcification, to be able to dissolve any oxalates that I have, including in my kidneys. This is why apple cider vinegar was so good, to be able to try to be able to have a little bit of that to dissolve kidney stones. Okay? Okay, so the vinegars is also, it has to be raw apple cider vinegar. If not, it's acetic acid, and that's bad. That's the reason why we get these kidney stones and gallstones and muscles get sore and we get oxalate poisonings, is because we have bad corrosive acids in our world. And that can come from your water supply. Okay? That can come from pool acid. Okay, it's hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid from volcanoes, sulfuric acid from, if you live in the city, diesels go out, that's why they want low sulfur. And if it has pollution, the sulfur comes out and it turns into sulfuric acid. It gets into the water supply, it gets into your food supply, and sulfuric acid makes you brittle. Fluoride then comes in and fills the spot to try to rebuild because the acid's eating the calcium. So you can see it's not complicated, but you can see your body's made it of 3.6% calcium. And if it's got certain corrosive acids in it, they're eating the calcium up. And if it's eating the calcium up, then the body says, I need to rebuild this. And so what does it do? It tries to go ahead and pull in what it needs to be able to go ahead and heal. The problem is it pulls in fluoride if there's fluoride everywhere and you don't have the correct, remember, everybody's just about nutrient deficient. And it's not even nutrient deficient maybe even from your food. It's nutrient deficient because your body's plugged inside, guys, and you can't get the nutrients in. So again, this is what the Fulvic I found out does with the other therapies, is you want to clean the intestinal tract. The first part's the small intestinal tract. The first part is where all the parasites live in, all the different tapeworms, all the nematodes, most of all the creatures that are going to hurt you live in the small intestine, which is about 30 feet long. The colon doesn't have these creatures, has different ones, but not the ones that are massively in most people, and that's in the small intestine. Because you can get a colonoscopy again, and you can go ahead and have them, and everybody says there's nothing in there. Well, that's the colon, that's the sewage pit. That's 3 feet or so, and then you have this little valve called an ileocecal valve, and now the small intestine, this is where the critters live. This is where the root parasite lives. This is where the tapeworms live. This is where all the guys live that are not your friends. And so this is where enemas help you get the sewage pit clean so you can do some mouth cleaning and get the small intestine, because it's really hard to use enemas to be able to clean that up from the bottom. But you can from this way down, because it's got to go that way. It's hard going back river. But you want to clean the sewage pit out, because if not, you won't get any of the other stuff out. Okay, so it's very logical. What you guys have done, remember, you've cleaned your sewage pits out, okay, in more ways than one, from stop eating. Then you went ahead and got hydrocolon therapy, and Front said you pulled out a nice parasite, right? Nice one. He says it was like a dragon. I've had some great dragons. I put all mine in bags, though, just to be able to show people, look what came out of me. And they go, oh, you must be sick. Yeah, you got them too. And they can't get that because they don't understand that these parasites are pretty much, remember, there is a book called Everybody Has Parasites. It's a good one. It's a very beginning book. It's a good book for you to read. You can just look at it on Amazon for free. Everybody Has Parasites, and it's a thin book, but it's very informative, so you can go ahead and see not what you're up against. How do I make myself shielded from all these little guys that want to come inside my body, like bugs on plants outside? If the plant's strong, the bugs don't come. If the plants have fulvic acid in the soil, the plants take the minerals, and they become strong and don't need pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides and all that. The bugs don't like them because they've got super energy. So when you get your energy back, everybody does, you never get sick because you can't. Okay, so what this magically does also, okay, is that fulvic goes through all the layers of the cells. Not only goes across the blood-brain barrier because it's a nanoparticle, but it also flows through the cell and cleans out the things in the cell. So if, we have a fireplace over here. This is a simple analogy. If we burn wood in that fireplace is your cell, one of the 100 trillion that you have. And each cell has a mitochondria. It's going to burn wood, which is going to make heat. And your body has a cell that does the same thing. It makes energy. So if we didn't take out the wood, the ash in there for 2 weeks, let's say, or a week, the wood won't burn anymore. Okay? It's because the fireplace now is clogged because maintenance was not done and or the cell couldn't let out its accumulated debris. And this is what happens to most people. So how can you take in any nutrients, this is what I'm saying, until you get the ash out of the fireplace? Don't think you're going to start a fire. You're wasting your time. So that's why the detoxing is so important. It's not just detoxing the body, it's getting down to the cellular level. But in the beginning, what you need to do is clean up as much garbage as you can easily. Now, these layers here, these are digging deeper. This is going into the cell. Remember, the fulvic crosses all the cells, whatever's in the cell. There's all these different pieces in the cell, okay? The mitochondria, all these little pieces that are made up in the cell that actually make the cell function. So if the fulvic can get through and start dissolving, because that's what it does, start dissolving, okay, then your liquids in your body now can either use the liquids in your system to excrete them, or what fulvic does magically is it actually breaks the bonds up of a lot of things and turns them into something either digestible to the system, so it's not residue. Residue is a problem. But if you can make it digestible, then your body will eat it. May not like it, but at least it can not accumulate it. Okay? And you have to sort of look at this. This is pretty cool too. Think of fulvic acid, okay, is the UPS man because it can go ahead and deliver a lot of stuff to your body, okay? And it's also the garbage man at the same time. This is why this is so special. It also takes away the garbage, but it brings things too. Okay, so this is very important for you to understand. So this is why this would be very smart for you to be able to play with and try in a variety of different ways. I would think, and I would recommend people taking this every day, okay, in their smoothie. I put this in my tea every morning, okay? I put this in my salad dressings. I put this in smoothies. The fulvic, what it does is it helps homogenize and it helps everything sort of bond together better. So when you put this with a smoothie, and let's say you're making salad dressing and you didn't want it to go ahead and blend apart, put half a dropper full of this in there, and the whole water and oil and everything will mix as one. So this homogenizes all the molecules, remember, because it crosses everything. Okay, so now, remember, one last thing, and we're going to remember, cancer, any sickness, any dysfunction of the mind, any type of dysfunction is caused by the body's cellular activity to be less than 70 millivolts, minus 70 millivolts. Remember, cells that are healthy are minus 70 millivolts. They've known this for a while.
Is that the speed of
this is the power within it. It's like it's like a battery. Okay?
Minus
Each little
70.
cell, minus 70 millivolts. When a cell gets sick, okay, it goes down to minus 50, minus 40, minus 30. So let's say if we wanted to test out the cells on your arm here, and they're minus 70. Of course they are. But let's say if you're a man, let's go to your prostate, and these ones are now minus 30. That whole area right there, energetically, is barely even vibrating. Okay? The only reason why we stay healthy is because our body can absorb, remember I told you before, plasma. This helps clean out the debris of the fireplace so the fire can start to burn again. This makes space so we can put more wood into the fireplace and you can put real conductive elements back into your system and start this engine back up again. One of the other things here, okay, is this is very important for all you oldies like me. Anybody past about 35 years old is ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is a reduced form of coenzyme Q. You don't make it anymore, okay? And if you don't have this, it's big problems. This is what that excites the mitochondria to be able to make it. The mitochondria, remember, is the fireplace in your cell. This starts the fireplace, okay? Gets a flame under there. It's like the pilot light. Now, you have other things in your body to be able to fuel the fire, okay? But if, remember, your cells, and if you don't clean the cells down to the cell, then how do you think that the fire is going to go ahead and start? It can't. It's got too much debris in there. Okay, so like I said, don't think this is complex. You know you have to dissolve. One, dissolve stuff. You have to wash it out. Remember, you got to get the stuff out of the fireplace, okay? And then now you have space to re-nutrify, to put more wood back in, to put more minerals back in, to do a lot of new things. So, let me just go through here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, just like we went over real quick again. If you're low in iodine, you're a toxic sponge to all the different halogens that are going to fit into that same keyhole. If you're low in silica, remember, you're going to get aluminum in your brain. You're going to go ahead and get disconnected from silicon is what makes your computer have memory. Okay, that's why the silicon chip, Silicon Valley, okay, this is memory. And when you lose your silicon, okay, you lose your smarts. Weighing and measuring things, you just want to do the same things only you know. You don't want to know anything new. It's because your computer is full. It doesn't have any more memory. You can't press download because it's full. Okay, so it's very important to have these essential elements in your system. And this is a big problem. Okay, as you'll notice, and this is for you to be able to actually recognize when you walk and push a cart around, like I said, Walmart or Costco, put a few things in your basket there, and I want you now to look at the people, and I want you to know how slow they're moving and stiff they're moving. Not only are they overweight, but they're really sort of, their physical motions are turning into a pillar of salt. You're iodine deficient, what happens? Fluoride goes into the bone. You get fluorosis, you get brittleness of the bone. As you get older, your bones may get stiffer, but they should not get brittle, especially if you have a decent diet. And you have a little bit, that's why they give women hormones and such in men. Okay? Hormones have a lot to do with you being able to, forget sexuality, for you to be able to make your body so it can regenerate. Okay? That's why I shared with you some guys, about the raw eggs, okay, are full of growth hormone. You can go ahead and get growth hormone shot. These are ways to be able to make your body so it does help to use technology sometimes. Okay, but then again, what do you use? And it does cost a lot of money a lot of times too. So there's ways to be able to, sort of play around with things on your own and watch and see what a lot of other people do. Sure, we talked about the electricity. Okay, so there's, and then we'll start our part 2 here. Okay, so these are some of the things, remember, the iodine goes in, kicks out a lot of things that are stuck inside you because it detoxifies you, but it also kickstarts things to make them so they work, right? So, and the best thing what it does is it kicks out a lot of fluoride. And fluoride, remember, is put into our water supply, it's in your new car smell, it's into diet pills, it's into a lot of stuff, okay? So, again, do your fluoride so you can understand. I want to navigate away from that. Now, one of the things, if you're now, since you guys are now advanced fasters, what you can do at home, okay, is you can use and do a 2-day, and this is a good therapy, a 2-day fulvic acid water fast. Remember, you guys, Wendy did what, 13 days? Mm-hmm. And then Nidra did 7 days. 7 days. 9 days, and then who did 14?
I did.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay.
Sorry, he's hiding.
You're hiding over there. 14 days, okay? So now you guys you're what's called intermediate advanced fasters. You've already went through a hardship. It's easy to do a 2-day fast, and you should try to do that once a month. Really will help you. And if you can, try to do this also. You go to church, let's say on Sundays. How about fast on Sundays for 24 hours? Okay? But not just with water. Okay, you can use liquids, different types. You can use lemon if you want to. Remember, it's just washing the system from food. And if you want to go deeper, then you can just do steam distilled water, and it'll help you detoxify and really dry up stuff. Or if you want to go even more advanced, you can go ahead and do the fulvic, like we talked about, and actually ingest with water fasting, and that'll help dissolve some debris as long as you do enemas with it too at the same time. And this is where you wind up getting a lot of intestinal cleaning. So, toe fungus, foot fungus, baldness, tinea versicolor, that's one of the things I missed. Lots of people have skin fungus, okay, and this works beautiful to be able to break down that little house. Okay, Franz is a young guy. Did I tell you, you had a little bit on you, okay, yeah. But I haven't noticed it since, and I only went ahead and actually scraped you one time. We haven't even put fulvic on you. Yours is so new, just, I think, scraped it off. But I've had mine for 10 years, and I've taken every medication before, none of them work, and they're expensive. And then that was one of the reasons I wanted to learn the skin cleaning protocols and understand all this, okay? But the thing that really makes the skin fungus go away is learning the protocols to use the Fulvic, because it goes in and dissolves everything. Okay, there we go. We'll go ahead and do part 2 now. Any questions though?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
No, that's good.
When you do the Fulvic water fast, you said 2 days. How much would you take?
Well, this is a good question. If you're beginning, okay, and you should always go ahead and test things out in the morning. I'll do that on part 2 because it's me showing protocols
Okay.
and stuff, because I like to do that on
Is that the
the
same
private
with the
part.
smoothies? Were you going to talk about
Well, with the smoothies, it's easy. All you do is you just put a dropper full.
just a dropper full?
Yeah, in the smoothie. You're gonna make salad dressing. Put a dropper full in. Make
Wonderful.
tea. Put a dropper full in. Plus, when you make your yerba mate tea in the morning, if you put that in there, it'll reach out what you're trying to get out of the yerba mate tea. If you put it in chocolate, okay, remember the Fulvic homogenizes and breaks things down further so it can get into deeper cellular areas. So you could go ahead and use Fulvic just about on anything, and it's really good. Why is noni good for you? You know what noni is?
Fruit.
Noni fruit here, especially in Hawaii. And why noni is good is because it has about 3%, 5 at the most, fulvic acid. That's why it's good.
Oh my goodness, I never knew
Okay?
that.
It's not so much the noni, it's the fulvic in it. Okay, so this is a very special, that's a therapeutic drink. And what's so special about it? So what we've done is just concentrate it down. So, again, one last thing before we change to part 2. All fulvics are not the same, so be careful that you don't buy agricultural stuff because it actually doesn't even pass Proposition 65, which has got a lot of garbage, because that's the agricultural layer. It's the first part of the shale. It's not the clean part, okay? There's all different parts of the mine, because I have several friends that have these mines, and it's a big job to extract the fulvic acid out of this. Big job to take out most of the iron, because you don't need it. It's a big job to be able to then add in the boron, and it turns it purple, a beautiful purple color from a light brown. So when you add the boron, it turns this beautiful violet, purple, okay? And then we add zinc in too, is because these minerals, everybody's really deficient. So if we're gonna use it, I found out that boron really helps with the skin regeneration. It really helps with wrinkles generate, because you need boron for all regeneration. So, any other questions besides protocols? Okay, there we go, part 2.
Important reminder: all information and ideas are for informational purposes only and are in no way intended as medical advice or as a substitute for medical counseling. Earthshift Products, Dr. Robert Cassar, all of their partners, affiliates, and subsidiaries will not be held accountable for the use or misuse of the information presented therein. This information is not intended as medical advice. The authors, publishers, and speakers of this work are not medical doctors and do not recommend the use of mineral-deficient foods, drugs, or medicines to achieve beauty and to alleviate health challenges. Because there is always some risk involved, all persons involved with the development and distribution of this information are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences of any kind resulting from the use or misuse of any suggestions or procedures described on our website or Earth Shift Live radio talk show or therein.